Good afternoon, Dominica. Sorry for the late start, but we're here all the same. This afternoon's talk show, the Talk on the Block, may prove to be very interesting. So stick around. I'm going to start off this way. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Mr. Anthony Charles is standing by, the MP for the Marigot constituency. But let me first of all hear the voice of Jesma Paul, the former opposition leader in Dominica. That's the focus, just for the first part of this program. Jesma Paul. You what?
Mr. Speaker, whilst I'm on my feet, let me respond briefly to comments made by the member of Marigot, Anthony Charles, on the appointment of the leader of the opposition. Mr. Speaker, after my resignation as leader of the opposition on June 20th, 2024, there were a few issues surrounding my decision to write, giving my support to Honorable Charles as the next leader of the opposition. To fast forward, Mr. Speaker, after careful and long consideration, I decided to reach out to Honorable Charles, initiating a meeting so we could sit and discuss the way forward on the issue. When contacted, Honorable Charles, Honorable Charles agreed to meet, then quickly turned around asking, what is the purpose of the meeting? What is the agenda? And before I could respond, Honorable Charles told me, and I quote, at this point, we will have to correspond by writing. End of quote. Me being persistent, Mr. Speaker, and willing to put the matter to rest, kept initiating a meeting with Honorable Charles. Mr. Speaker, July 25th, 2024, Honorable Charles told me we could have a meeting after the 5-day Parliament sessions, which I agreed to at 6:57 p.m. Mr. Speaker, at 7:11 that same night, Honorable Charles sent me a message, and I quote again, the country can run without opposition leader until elections, close quote. On the day Honorable Charles was expected to respond to the national budget of 2024-2025, I asked him again, so Tony, you have not made up your mind as yet? Honorable Charles replied to me and said, nah man, we good. We don't need opposition leader. This was the final verbal one-on-one decision we had as it relates to the matter. So, Mr. Speaker, I was indeed quite taken aback on Monday that the member for Marigot could stand before this honorable house, giving the honorable members and the general public the impression that I, Honorable Jessamine Paul Victor, is holding the country under constitutional bondage. Mr. Speaker, I have acted on what was said to me by Honorable Charles, that he does not want to be the leader of the opposition, and we do not need a leader of the opposition. This was based on according to his responses and his lack of interest to settle the matter. Mr. Speaker, I just need this moment to clear my name and to clear the air. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So what did Mr. Charles, what did he say in Parliament to provoke that kind of reaction from Jasper Paul?
Budget that we have made a motion to allow someone in the opposition, an elected member, to rebut the budget. I think on December 2022, Honorable Jessamine Victor Paul won a seat. I won my seat. I did the most gentleman thing, ladies first. She got a time and then she resigned. So this is the second time we have to keep moving motion. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is righteous. And I think I hold myself responsible for causing a crisis in the Constitution. Some might say no, some might say yes. But I reach out a hand to the next elected member for us to solve this situation. Because the president's office is just over there. And maybe PS Valmo can draft something for us, sign it today and drop it off before lunchtime and solve this constitutional crisis. We might laugh, but this to me is getting out of hand. And we haven't done it like it's a joke. And we, maybe not you, we need to solve this. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to give the honorable member from Salisbury a minute of my time to answer this if she's willing to vote on me.
She cannot do that now. Maybe when her opportunity comes, if she wishes, she can respond. If she wishes, but you need to proceed with the response to the budget.
So I'll move forward in this.
Yes.
All right, Dominica. So Miss Jessamine Paul took that opportunity when it was her time to speak. And again, I just want to play it for, of course, clarification. For clarification's sake, just in case you missed it. Let's do this again.
Honorable Charles told me we could have a meeting after the 5-day Parliament sessions, which I agreed to at 6:57 p.m. Mr. Speaker, at 7:11 that same night, Honorable Charles sent me a message, and I quote again.
I think we missed the very start. Let's listen again.
Honorable Charles told me we could have a meeting after the 5-day Parliament sessions, which I agreed to at 6:57 p.m. Mr. Speaker, at 7:11 that same night, Honorable Charles sent me a message, and I quote again, the country can run without opposition leader until elections, close quote. On the day Honorable Charles was expected to respond to the national budget of 2024-2025, I asked him again. So, Tony, you have not made up your mind as yet. Honorable Charles replied to me and said, nah, man, be good. We don't need opposition leader. This was the final verbal one-on-one decision we had as relates to the matter. So, Mr. Speaker, I was indeed quite taken aback on Monday that the member for Marigot could stand before this honorable house, giving the honorable members and the general public the impression that I, Honorable Jesper Paul Victor, is holding the country under constitutional bondage. I have acted on what was said to me by Honorable Charles, that he does not want to be the leader of the opposition, and we do not need a leader of the opposition. This was based on according to his responses and his lack of interest to settle the matter. Speaker, I just need this moment to clear my name and to clear me.
Good afternoon, Dominica. We've heard Jasper Paul, of course, explaining that Mr. Charles did not seem interested in that position. So I'm getting Mr. Charles at this point to explain just what the situation is at this time. He's on the telephone with me. Good afternoon to you, sir. The Honorable Charles. How are you, sir? How are you?
Mr. Best, how are you?
Well, I'm happy you could join us this afternoon to clear some issues. Of course, the big one, what is the position as it relates to this opposition leader? I heard Jasper Paul after you made a statement in Parliament that we seem to be in a constitutional crisis.
Yeah, I asked just my head because we had another 20 December, and she died after 18 months, which she had to hand it over to me for my 18 months, but this did not happen. I was waiting for a meeting after tenure come to an end, and next thing I saw a circulation with a letter stating that she no longer interested in handing it over to me along with the senators. And that was last year budget. We spoke, and that was it about it. And then I just called out because it's been a whole year and nothing yet. On Wednesday night, I also draft a letter because she said I'm not with it.
Are you there? We seem to be getting...
I signed for her, so she has to sign for me now. So I'm just waiting.
So you said what Wednesday you're actually talking about? You said that you met on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Did I get it?
Wednesday night during Parliament.
Oh, Wednesday night during Parliament. You met. You wrote a letter to her.
Yeah, we wrote a letter. So she wanted to send to the president to solve the situation. Yeah, but she said she's sleeping on it and look like she's sleeping on it.
So she's still sleeping on it?
Yeah.
But she indicated there in that note from Parliament that she made several attempts, and you told her that you were not interested in that position with the country. The country doesn't need an opposition leader. Is that correct, sir? Yes, sir.
The attempt she made was after the letter was wrote against me. So, and when she wrote the letter against me, she meet me in dinner and asking me if when we're going to solve it. You don't have nothing to solve it, Mr. Peltier. I stand for you, don't have to stand for me, you have nothing to solve again. You just have to sign for me, it's my turn. She don't want me to have it, so that's it.
So you think there was nothing to talk about? You just have to sign?
No, we had an agreement, you just have to honor the agreement, simple.
So you wanted to know what that meeting was about?
Sorry?
She said you told her You wanted to know what that meeting because she wanted to meet with you.
A meeting, we didn't have no meeting. We ain't budget. We have no meeting to have. We just have to talk. You don't have to take a long time. When you're going to sign, that's all I want to hear. What you have to say. When is she going to sign for me the video position? That's all I want to hear.
And you said you gave her another opportunity there on Friday, on Wednesday. Sorry, on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, I give her a letter, draft a letter, so I can sign, so she can sign, for her to give it to the video position. And she said she's going to sleep on it, so she'll give me a response on Thursday morning, which she did not. So I'm still waiting.
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Because can you remember the contents of that letter that you wrote between yourself and Jasma? I seem to have had a copy, but I can't find it.
The content is the same content we had from the beginning. 18 months, 18 months. Simple as that. And telling the president, she agreed that I'm going to be the opposition leader for the next 18 months. Simple as that.
So why you think she changed her mind?
Yes, I have to talk to her advisors, with the advisors that advising her.
You think some people were advising her not to take on, not to allow you to be?
I don't know. You have to ask her. She must be more. It's just I don't know why she's not signing. I don't know.
Do you? Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yes. You mean what?
The crisis that's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if when I become opposition leader that I'm going to do something so drastically that the country going to fall apart. So I don't know what is the reason just have for not signing for me. Simple as that. She'll have to tell you that one.
Do you feel somewhat betrayed by Jasma this time and your senators?
Well, the senators as the president don't have no say. And I signed for her before we even had senators. So as far as I know, senators don't have no say. I don't want to even go into that down that road about senators. Senators come after. We put them there. So senators don't have no say. It's Jasma. I put her as the president, as the opposition leader. So it's her turn to return the favor. Simple as that. I keep my word. She did not keep hers.
So there's nothing to talk about.
No, nothing to talk about. It's just we sign, just to take me into her lawyer's office, you know. We sign the paper, no hesitation. Who is going first? Ladies first, no problem. Bam, bam, bam. I sign straight to the president. Matter.
Because the country is, as you said, in the constitutional crisis, we don't have an opposition leader. So how can we solve this going forward?
But who write the letter, Matt, to the president? Say they not support it. It's not me, no, Matt.
But
whoever write the letter will solve the problem.
In your guts, Anthony, why do you think that Jasma may have changed her mind?
Well, the only reason I think they're possible to have is because Joshua Francis and I say we would have form a party and form a party. That's the only reason. So who is Tony and Joshua to form a party? Although after it had the riot, Joshua Francis still go and represent them with the big heart he have. And man, I have a lot of respect. We still go and represent the same Workers' Party or whoever they arrest. And to them, Tony and Joshua shouldn't form a party. That's the only reason they have. They have no other reason.
Because there were indications here, and I have Mr. Joshua Francis in the studios. There were indications that you may have had agreed to bring in Joshua as a senator. Was that your thinking?
No, wait. Discuss no way. I think that's just propaganda they spread to do what they have to do and advise her badly.
So you think she had advisors before she made that move?
Because now when I see all the back and forth, Mr. Belty, it is personally, maybe you don't know how my type of thinking. You see the back and forth? When I realize you're going back and forth, I just tell Jasma, you know something? Let's leave that alone, because you see the back and forth you have in there. Best is stay so, because you're not making any sense, because you're not willing to sign for me and I sign for you already and I'm not going to sign for you again. Simple as that.
But the comment about you said that the country don't need an opposition leader. How do you defend that?
I must make a comment like that, Matt, when it have the back and forth. That's like how we're going back and forth there. Matt, I don't have time for that.
You just wanted that. You just wanted that letter signed.
The sign. I know. Only state. This is that in December. Only state in Clara Shameford office.
Right.
10 minutes. Mm-hmm. Just for them to print the paper and for me to sign and come on there. No long term.
interested. But there are now indications that you're warming up to the Labour Party. Do you want to comment on that?
That I what?
You're warming up with the Labour Party. They bring you everywhere. You're traveling with the Labour
Okay,
Party.
listen to me. I want to give you a straight answer. Who signed against me? My senators, right?
Your senator signed against you, yeah?
So you want me to warm up with who that signed against me?
So you don't have a choice, in other words.
But who's going to help me? They're not helping me. So I have to lean on the other side to help my village. I don't come here for party and self. I come here for my village. So even the government have to warm up to help my village. The Prime Minister have been helping me, the village, do a lot of things. I put out a list of over 200 and something thousand dollars passed through my hand to certain groups. And it's the Prime Minister, the government of they have to do it. But he's doing things too. He can do it without me. But he's sending it through the parliament. I know maybe and yes, say I have facts and records to say what he been spending in Margot.
So
and all the groups, every single group in Margot have been affected and get some sort of funding or some assistance from the government through me.
The fact that you
warm up with them. So make noise with them, with the government, and don't get help. It's not a personal thing, It's for Margot I go there for. And people either have to, and the country to be in crisis, and Margot have to get help. So be it, but it's Margot I come there for.
So you have.
And Margot did not make the crisis. So I'm not going to make Margot suffer for the crisis.
And I'm getting the point that you're saying right now that you're only warming up to the government because you feel betrayed by your senators.
You have to work with the government every day. It doesn't matter if they say warm up and warm up. You have to work with the government every day to help your constituents. I'm not in government. I'm in opposition. And opposition forces even fighting with themselves. I don't have time to fight with them either.
All right, so I want to say thank you, and if there's any reason to call you back,
Mr. Pelty.
Thank you.
Mr. Pelty, to be my wedding anniversary, Mr. Pelty.
Well, hold on, your what anniversary today?
My wedding anniversary, my third wedding anniversary. They disturb me and tell me about crisis.
Oh. Well, I want to say congratulations to you on your wedding anniversary. How many years?
3 years.
3 years. Well, keep going. Yeah. Keep going strong, brother. Keep going strong.
Yes, I will strong. Thank you very much.
We'll talk again sometime. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Well, clearly, something. Go on. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes. Wow.
Matt,
yes, my brother.
My brother, that topic is dear to my heart.
I sense that.
Tony and Jesma signed the initial letter in December 22, appointing Jesma Paul as the leader of the opposition. In that letter to the president, they indicated both of them they would share the term. Jesma, when you resigned, you committed an act of treason. You betrayed Brother Tony. You signed with the opposition senators, betraying Tony, saying to reappoint you for a second term as leader of the opposition. Jesma, why did you do that? How could you have done such a treasonous act against Tony? He did not deserve that. Simple as that. It was Tony's turn. You resigned. Simply, you had to sign with Tony, appointing Tony. You got the opposition senators who had no legal authority to put their signatures onto that letter. That letter has gone all around the world, Matt. And I'm all the way with you, Brother Tony.
So you're standing with Tony at this time?
Definitely. Although I would like to tell him that he owes an apology to the protesters who were taking tear gas and stones outside of Parliament when he said, Mr. Speaker, those people are not my friends. I do not know them. I have no connection with them. Brother Tony, you owe an apology to those protesters. 25 of them are facing court charges, Brother Tony. If you do not do that apology, Brother Tony, you will have committed political suicide. You will lose your deposit in Marigot anytime you attempt to go back up again. I'm predicting that to you, Brother Tony. But I know Jesma crooked you and your senators that you appointed, all those who signed that letter to reappoint Jesma on a second term, all crooked you. They all reneged against you. And we need to bring this out. What caused that to come about? Have a blessed weekend, brother Matt.
Matt, I'm not Tony, I'm Matt. All right. I'm gonna try, Peter. I'm gonna try again to see if we can get Tony on the line because it's a very important question. I'm happy you brought that up. It happened some time ago, so it just slipped me there, but it's a very important question. Huh? Well, I'm sure you got the point, though. That he feels and he felt betrayed, hence there was too much running around and decided, to ask Jesma at some point that what is that meeting about? Something you have to do something simple, and that's to sign the letter. So let me serve as the opposition leader. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Peltier. You heard me?
I'm right here. Go ahead quickly.
Yes, Mr. Peltier. There are times in life we want to make a name for ourselves. Listen, we want a job or something that we can hold on. But what I notice is that sometimes many young people want to be seen or to be heard or they want to represent. And what we do, before anything, we jump into the band, we jump to the war with that gun or with that stick. But I am listening to that young man. I do not know him. I could know his father, but he sounds like people I could have known. But he is not speaking the truth. You know why I'm saying he's not speaking the truth?
Why is that?
Like you can see before he talks, he looks like somebody that irritated already. I feel like he cannot take it. And
why would you come to that conclusion? But he was talking to me, and of course he's speaking his mind. You come to the conclusion that he's not speaking the truth, right? Where would you, of course, get that from?
You are talking to you, but I'm telling you what I'm picking up from him. Like he's speaking to you and telling you what is happening. The whole world is hearing.
So who's talking the truth now? Who's talking the truth?
I'm just saying he has some error in his speaking.
What is the error that he has? He just spoke the truth. He told you what was going on. He said he signed a letter with the opposition leader that would give her a chance to serve for 18 months. Now it's his turn. He's saying, let's go back and talk to the same lawyer if you want and go to the president. I don't think he was saying anything untruthful there.
I am telling you, Mr. Peltier, maybe you don't pick up that thing when he's speaking to you. But he seems he wants to be in the government thing.
But is his right to be in the government thing? I don't think you're getting the point, ma'am. Let's move on. Hello, talk to me, yes?
Hello, ma'am.
How are you doing?
I like to analyze it. I'm listening to that. I heard Jason, I heard him. But one thing I want to say, Emma, if you're going into politics and so, or wherever, you have to have patience, okay? You have to love what you're doing. If that is not your bag, stay out of it. Now, what I want to see, Jesma said she approached him about meeting. I don't want to go for. Then he said he's not, the country can run without a leader of the opposition, okay? It's okay. Now, what I'm saying, between you and Jesma, if you said you have a letter, you just want her to sign it. Things doesn't go like that.
But ma'am, let's put some analysis on that. Here's the position. He signed a letter with Jesma, and that letter stated, after 18 months, I would serve as the opposition leader, meaning Anthony Charles. 18 months came, and she did not honor that letter. So he's saying, well, it's my turn, so let me serve. So what else can be done?
Yes, I agree, Matt. I agree to that. Listen to me, Will.
Yes, I'm listening.
But what I am saying, if she approach you again, if she approach you again, whatever you all had, whatever, she didn't, whatever. But if she approach you again, and you really want to serve your people, as you say, just try to come to a decision. Go to the meeting, see what she's saying. That's just what I want to say. You understand?
And that's several months after they made that deal, After 7 months, after the 18 months passed, she's asking him to meet, and he's asking her, why do you want to meet? Because The simple thing is, let's go to the president or go to a lawyer, sign the letter, and let me serve as opposition leader. Is there too much?
Call back, yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes? Yes, go ahead. Caller.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Okay, I'm here.
Yeah, yes, you are. You go ahead.
Okay, I'm calling for Maria. I agree with Tony. Jesma should give it up. And Matt, I don't know if you ever bring Jesma to ask her any question because you have to hear the story too, because she signed that. And I think she should give it up and give him the chance to do what he has to do. Whatever people think or what he's going to do, it's fair that he should have his turn to do what he does because they agree on that. So Jesma have to give it up.
That's the point I'm trying to make. I mean, yes, they signed a deal. Let's commit to that deal. 4493095. Now, you want to hear Jesma again? She said she made several attempts to speak to Tony. Let's listen to that point she made in Parliament again, just in case you missed it. Okay?
Honorable Charles told me we could have a meeting after the 5-day Parliament sessions, which I agreed to at 6:57 p.m. Mr. Speaker, at 7:11 that same night, Honorable Charles sent me a message, and I quote again, "The country can run without opposition leader until elections." Close quote. On the day Honorable Charles was expected to respond to the national budget of 2024-2025, I asked him again, "So Tony, you have not made up your mind as yet?" Honorable Charles replied to me and said, "Nah, man, be good. We don't need opposition leader." This was the final verbal one-on-one decision we had as it relates to the matter. So, Mr. Speaker, I was indeed quite taken aback on Monday that the member for Marigot could stand before this honorable house, giving the honorable members and the general public the impression that I, Honorable Jesma Paul Victor, is holding the country under constitutional bondage. I have acted on what was said to me by Honorable Charles, that he does not want to be the leader of the opposition, and we do not need a leader of the opposition. This was based on according to his responses and his lack of interest to settle the matter. Speaker, I just need this moment to clear my name and to clear him.
All right, I think we missed something there from the very start. I want to bring it up again. Just I want to capture a date. Let me listen again.
I will ask. Mr. Speaker, whilst I'm on my feet, let me respond briefly to comments made by the member of Marigot, Anthony Charles, on the appointment of the leader of the opposition. Mr. Speaker, after my resignation as leader of the opposition on June 20th, 2024, there were a few issues surrounding my decision to write, giving my support to Honorable Charles as the next leader of the opposition. To fast forward, Mr. Speaker, after careful and long consideration, I decided to reach out to Honorable Charles, initiating a meeting so we could sit and discuss the way forward on the issue. When contacted, Honorable Charles agreed to meet, then quickly turned around asking, "What is the purpose of the meeting? What is the agenda?" And before I could respond, Honorable Charles told me, and I quote, "At this point, we will have to correspond by writing." End of quote. Me being persistent, Mr. Speaker, and willing to put the matter to rest, kept initiating a meeting with Honorable Charles. Mr. Speaker, July 25th, 2024, Honorable Charles told me we could have a meeting after the 5-day Parliament sessions, which I agreed to at 6:57 p.m. Mr. Speaker, at 7:11 that same night, Honorable Charles sent me a message, and I quote again, "The country can run without opposition leader until elections." Close quote. On the day Honorable Charles was expected to respond to the national budget of 2024-2025, I asked him again, "So Tony, you have not made up your mind as yet?" Honorable Charles replied to me and said, "Nah, man, we good. We don't need opposition leader." This was the final verbal one-on-one decision we had as relates to the matter. So, Mr. Speaker, I was indeed quite taken aback on Monday that the member for Marigot could stand before this honorable house, giving the honorable members and the general public the impression that I, Honorable Jesma Paul Victor is holding the country under constitutional bondage. Mr. Speaker, I have acted on what was said to me by Honorable Charles, that he does not want to be the leader of the opposition, and we do not need a leader of the opposition. This was placed on according to his responses and his lack of interest to settle the matter. Mr. Speaker, I just need this moment to clear my name and to clear the air. Thank you, Mr.
And now you decide. I know it's in your mind. You're saying, who is talking the truth here? You know, one person I know that was intimately involved in this, trying to negotiate this whole issue of the opposition, is Mr. Joshua Francis. And I think he has a copy of the letter written on that fateful day between Miss Jesma Paul and Anthony Charles. Joshua, please help us put this in perspective. Read that letter for me, please. Yes. Good afternoon to you, sir.
And good afternoon to your listeners.
What is in that letter, Joshua?
Matt, well,
Can you read it
to fully
first?
appreciate where we are in regards to the leader of the opposition, we have to start from the genesis. There was a by-election in 2022. The main opposition party, the United Workers' Party executive, decided that the United Workers' Party would not participate in that general election. As a result of that decision, several sympathizers of the United Workers' Party decided not only they were supporting the United Workers' Party in non-participation, but they would not vote for those who chose to go up as independent candidates. Of course, as you recall, several persons went up as independent candidates in several constituencies, including Marigot and Salisbury. And in both constituencies, knowing that historically, Marigot and Salisbury and non-government supporters, they would have supported the United Workers' Party with great loyalty from 1990. The constituents of both constituencies in question decided they were going to support the independent candidates, Jesma Paul in Salisbury and Anthony Charles in Marigot. These two candidates emerged as the new parliamentary representatives for the respective constituencies of Marigot and Salisbury. It means that we had two elected members in the opposition, given that the other independent candidates were unsuccessful. Most of them lost their deposits. Under the Constitution of Dominica, under Section 66, for anyone to be appointed by the president to become the leader of the opposition, that person must attract the majority of members of parliament that are not in support of the majority or the government side.
And that person must be elected.
There are questions in one section. It gives the impression that the persons must be elected.
Okay.
However, in another section, it is clear. It says members.
Okay.
And from a literal interpretation, it would mean that the members would include the senators. However, when it comes to constitutional interpretation, one has to be very careful. There are different types of interpretations in law. So you have literal interpretations, golden rule interpretations, mischief interpretations, etc. A basic constitutional legal principle is that if an interpretation results in an outcome which is absurd to the spirit of the Constitution, then the law would look for another interpretation.
Okay.
Having said that, in as much as literally, when you talk about members of parliament, it suggests that senators are included. One would think that such an interpretation would not be the interpretation the founders of the Constitution meant when they enshrined that constitutional provision. And let me draw it into simple analysis. If senators are allowed to determine who is the leader of the opposition, likewise, senators should be allowed to determine who is the prime minister. Would you agree with me?
I agree.
And for one to become the prime minister, likewise, is someone who attracts the majority of the person who supports the most majority of the government side.
Mhm.
Now that's one. Number two, one has to look into the historical context of constitutional interpretation. What is the practice? What is the precedent? If I recall, when Anthony Charles wrote a letter to the president of Dominica asking for intervention based on the agreement that he and Jesma had made, the president responded to say that she could not well, I can't remember the exact terms, but in my view, her interpretation is consistent to my interpretation. Of course, Matt, in law, provisions, legal provisions are subject to different types of interpretations. And that's why we have advocacy. That's why we go to court and we argue. We may actually set new precedents. We may go by precedents, or we may be very creative. Our arguments are not always in line of the judge's arguments or the defendant's argument if you're the claimant. The bottom line is that some persons are of the view that the president of Dominica should have intervened already. And given that Section 66 of the Constitution of Dominica says that there shall be a leader of the opposition. However, I beg to differ because that provision is subject to certain conditions. So overall, my interpretation, which is consistent to that of the president of Dominica, may not be that of another person. But let's move beyond the legal mechanics and let us again go back to the bedrock of this situation. So as I said, post 2022, we have two elected members in the opposition. Anthony, who you just interviewed, conceded that he and Jesma Paul went to the office of Jesma Paul's attorney at law, who happens to be Kyra Shillingford. At that office, without the interference of the attorney, based on my understanding, both parties came to the decision that each would serve the first 18 months and thereafter, consecutive. So, as Anthony stated, Jesma was allowed to go first. And they reduced that agreement or that position in writing. And I have a copy of that letter. It says here, December 9th, 2022, via hand delivery. That letter was addressed to the Honorable Charles Savre, who was His Excellency Honorable Charles Savre, the President of Dominica as it was then. Dear Your Excellency, Mr. President, as a result of the general elections held on December 6, 2022, two independent candidates were returned who do not support the government majority in Parliament. One independent candidate in the name of Anthony Charles from the Marigot constituency, and the other is yours truly, Jesma Paul Victor, from the constituency of Salisbury. The letter goes on to say, pursuant to your authority under Section 66 of the Constitution of Dominica, we hereby nominate Jesma Paul Victor to be the leader of the opposition in the Parliament of Dominica for a term of 18 months, commencing from the date of appointment. Following the expiration of Ms. Jesma Paul Victor's term, we nominate Anthony Charles to be the leader of the opposition for the following 18 months. Prior to the expiration of Anthony's Charles' term in office, we intend to inform you of who commands the support of the majority of members who do not support the government. Matt, the letter is very simple, isn't that so? You heard the material sentence here that Jesma Paul would serve the first 18 months and thereafter Anthony Charles would serve 18 months. And the remainder of the term, they would decide between both of them. This letter was done without any duress or undue influence by both parties. They voluntarily signed The letter was executed and hand-delivered, and eventually Jesma Paul was appointed by the President of Dominica as the leader of the opposition. She served her 18 months. Upon expiration of her 18 months, she tendered a letter of resignation as the leader of the opposition, which would have been necessary to facilitate Anthony Charles to become the new leader of the opposition in Dominica. However, upon submission of that letter of resignation to the President of Dominica, she did not write a letter, whether within the letter of resignation or a new letter, giving support to Anthony Charles. Now, during that time, Anthony and I were very close in constructing the genesis of the United Progressive Party. And I was very familiar with what was happening. I am aware that Anthony Charles, and he did not say that on the radio for one reason or the other, but in the interest of Dominica, we need clarity on the matter. And I will say to the public that Anthony Charles kept calling Jesma and sending texts in determining when she would give the support to him to become the leader of the opposition. And that was not forthcoming. I kept asking Anthony, what is the latest? Have you spoken to Jesma? And the response would be, well, Jesma told me she's in town. She will call me back. Jesma told me she'll get back in touch with me. So that went on for a few days until Anthony Charles learned via social media that a letter written by Senator Paris or signed by Senator Paris purporting to represent the voice or voices of Jesma Paul and the other senators, asking that Jesma Paul, or asking that letter was, of course, addressed to the President of Dominica, asking that Jesma be reappointed as the leader of the opposition. Now, Anthony Charles can call back to say whether I am speaking the truth or not. But Anthony told me that he learned about that letter via social media. And one of your callers, the first caller, a matter of fact, alluded to that fact when he stated that the letter went all around the globe. Now, I attempted to get a copy of that letter. Unfortunately, my busy schedule prevented me from getting access to it. I used to have it. So, Matt, let's just sum it up again quickly for the public. So, you have this agreement, 18 months, 18 months. Jesma served the 18 months. Anthony came to serve his 18 months, and that did not happen, and that has not happened. Now, I personally have several concerns. Number one, integrity. When someone gives his or her commitments, whether in writing or orally, it is taken that that one has to commit to his or her agreement. Isn't that so? Now, of course, every agreement has exceptions. Agreements can be terminated. If I make an agreement with you, Matt, concerning to go and have dinner tonight, and the terms of the agreement are broken, then the agreement will be terminated. If for natural causes we cannot perform the agreement, it will be terminated. If by consent both of us decide to terminate the agreement, it can happen. So there are several exceptions, or there are several conditions under which agreements can be broken. In respect to the agreement that Jesma Charles is the member for Salisbury and the member for Marigot, Mr. Anthony Charles, made, in the letter, of course, there was no need to subject it to terms and conditions. There were no express terms nor implied terms. However, it is well within the prerogative of each party to decide whether they want to obligate or to commit to the letter after the first 18 months. Jesma Charles exercised a right. She felt, as she stated in her utterances, that she had some concerns. And it's okay to have concerns. So she decided, you know what, I have some concerns, and I'm calling you first to have a conversation. I want to stick a point here. That was not done prior to the letter going. That letter which they wrote asking for Jesma's reappointment, it was not done before that. There was no opportunity given to Mr. Anthony Charles to speak to whatever concern that the member for Salisbury and the senators had. They never called him to a meeting. Matter of fact, I recall asking Anthony, now that you have seen this letter in the social media space, have you confronted Jesma and your senators? I even asked him whether he called the senators who he caused to be appointed by the president of Dominica, and at that stage he had said no. And I said, Anthony, there is a serious fundamental problem here. How can you have caused two persons to be appointed as senators?
And not standing with you.
And fine, they can change their mind. These are adults. We are rational beings. But what really struck me is that they did not even have the decency to call him to say, well, Anthony, I don't think I'm going to, support Jesma to make you the leader of the opposition. At least give him an opportunity to be heard. This went down in such a manner, it was like a backstabbing.
A betrayal?
Yeah, it's clear. Anthony was very diplomatic and very polite in not referring to the situation as one of betrayal. It was a clear act of betrayal. It was done behind his back. They did not call him to a meeting to say, Anthony, we are not supporting you to be leader of the opposition. We're going to support Ms. Jesma Paul to be reappointed as the leader of the opposition again. Of course, the senators acted on the basis that they would have had constitutional power in determining who would be leader of the opposition. I beg to differ. Some people have that opinion. I don't. But in view of the circumstances, Matt, there are several lessons in this. And as I said, I raised the issue of integrity. There's also the issue of law. And some of us, we play as we are lawyers. But even the lawyers cannot come to a conclusion to say certain ambiguities in the law is A, B, or C. That's why we have a court. If anybody thinks that he or she is right by saying that the president ought to have a reappointed Jesma Paul, then go to court. I am aware the United Workers' Party executive attempted to bring that matter before the court. Unfortunately, did not see the light of day because of certain procedural errors. I was hoping that they would relitigate, because I would like to hear the court adjudicate on the matter, because my interpretation, like that of the president and other Dominicans, those who believe so, may very well be wrong. Because, of course, Matt, in as much as I have an opinion, I'm aware that my opinion may not be correct. So when we look at that whole situation, Matt, as I said, there are lessons. Why did we have to get to that point? The member for Salisbury is well within her rights to decide she has changed her mind. Of course, she would have changed her mind by not honoring her agreement. And it's up to her to justify why she would have changed her mind, because the agreement, really, the question is whether it's legally enforceable, whether Anthony could take her to court to force her hand to give him support. That's another issue. But that did not happen. And Matt, this is part of what we see as confusion. Because remember, we had a Senator Sean Douglas, who was dismissed. And up to this day, Sean has not given the reason why he was dismissed. I'm aware of certain things that I may not necessarily say to the public today. I'm aware of mechanisms behind both situations. Certain players and actors may have advised the member for Salisbury. She did not act on her own. She acted.
You think so?
I know so. Again, Anthony Charles would have said certain things to me that I'm not prepared to say to the public. But I can say to the public that politics, politics.
What is your gut feeling, Mr. Francis, as to why you think Jesma, after 18 months, decided not to support Anthony?
Well,
your gut feeling.
It's not just gut feeling, Matt. It's not just gut feeling. Anthony, as he stated this afternoon, he being my client, we had certain conversations, and we decided that we should form a new political party, the United Progressive Party. Of course, we spoke with other persons who became members, and we got involved in the construction of this new political party. And then to this date, we have not had a political luncheon, but nonetheless, we launched the name of the political party. We got the public to become cognizant of the existence of the party. And in so doing, certain statements were made by myself and Anthony, one of the popular statements that was made by Anthony is that at the next general election that he would contest on a UPP ticket. And I also said that technically, and that also got the attention of certain persons who raised eyebrows, that technically we have a member of UPP in parliament already, suggesting that Anthony, being a member of UPP and being an elected member, that he was going to represent the concerns, the policies and philosophies of UPP. My understanding is that certain persons took that to mean that should UPP be seen or perceived by Dominicans to have a seat in parliament, it would put them ahead of the other opposition political parties. And that caused a stir to the extent that certain players and actors use that together with their dislike for Joshua Francis. And as Anthony said, that was also one of the reasons why they may have advised the member for Marigot not to support Anthony. They felt that should Anthony become a leader of the opposition, he would be well within his constitutional powers to dismiss his senators, if not both, but one, to bring in Joshua Francis and whoever else he desires to have served as senators. And that created a fear in the minds of certain actors and players. They would not have wanted Joshua Francis to enter parliament, which would promote UPP and give UPP a political edge over other opposition political parties. But let me just say, you did ask Anthony the question. Matt, I want to say to the public, Anthony and I never had that conversation. It never occurred to me to want to serve in parliament in a term where we do not have a main force in opposition, and in a term where we don't have a political party in opposition.
You're never interested.
I was never interested, Matt. It never occurred to me. I never ever gave it any thought, and Anthony himself never gave it any thought. It was never part of our discussion, one-on-one, or as part of UPP's executive discussion.
Now, the story is going deep, and I'm going to start taking some phone calls, but we're going to take a quick break, Joshua, and we'll come back to take your phone calls. Everybody's now writing on Facebook. We're going to come back after this.
Many one day only me Bell Bagay Market Sale is happening in Shimenef in Port Michel on Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. All tradesmen, housewives, carpenters, vendors, chefs, boutique owners, carpenters, homeowners, gift buyers, gift senders, gift givers. Bring your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your business partner. Everybody is taking home only Bell Bagay. From Shimenef in Port Michel, August 2nd, by bus, by car, taxi, by foot, bicycle, mobilette, and tricycle. Come early to avoid the rush, as everything must go. Coffee makers, hot cups, petty tools, portable drills, handle tools, multiple speed, protein vegetable blender, juicers, oyster, mini choppers, hyper tough, rechargeable, handy power saws, hair dryers, ladies, spin brush, hair sets, ladies, all occasion fashionable shoes, and so many other mini Bell Bagay products to choose from. For one day only, Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Shimenef, Port Michel, Saturday coming. Friday night, August 1st, surrounded by the refreshing Secret Highway. Musical history will be made at Azil's Country Club in Bourne at a concert with hundreds of patrons converging at the country club from the ambiance to enjoy one night of soul and soul. All night hit songs of yesteryear, the best of oldie goldies, a spectacular musical showdown between my Roy Michael Proctor and DJ Cody, two master musical maestros. August 1st at Zill's Country Club in Bourne. Only 10 easy like Sunday morning dollars. August 1st, but people come from everywhere for that show. You want to hear that.
Get ready for a weekend of GAM, creativity and culture. The GEMS Artisan Market is coming to the Fort Young Hotel from August 1st to the 3rd, and you're invited to experience the best of local art, craft, music, and community, all in one beautiful space. Handcrafted products, painting, locally crafted goods, spoken word, acoustic music, poetry, and more. Come support 32 of Dominica's most talented artisans and enjoy performances from amazing artists. Entry is free, so bring your family, friends, and celebrate Dominican excellence. Follow GEMS Foundation on Facebook, for more updates and don't miss it. The market is open on Friday from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., Saturday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., and Sunday from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
During a hurricane, if there is a lull after the eye of the storm has passed, stay in a safe place, except to make emergency repairs. The wind may return suddenly with even greater strength. Since 90% of hurricane casualties occur from drowning, you must evacuate islands and beaches and other vulnerable locations as early as possible. And those seeking shelter should shut off water, gas, and electricity before leaving their home. A message from Q95 FM Radio.
The government of Dominica has declared a national firearm amnesty. If you have an illegal gun, now is the time to turn it in. No charges, no questions. If you know someone with an unlicensed firearm, say something without saying your name. Crime Stoppers Dominica keeps you completely anonymous. Call 1-800-8477. That's 1-800-TIPS. Your voice stays hidden, but your action could save lives. Let's protect our island together. A message from Crime Stoppers Dominica and this station.
Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property. You homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property. Can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till your flood again, can't wait till your roof fly out and all your business going out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season. Insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
But do you really have money to burn? What about your commitments? Have you paid your bills? What about your telephone bill, your light bill, your water bill? What are you going to use to pay your loan? A truck of stones? NCCU wants you to continue to make wise financial decisions that will not leave you stressed. Think of your commitments. Commit to your commitments. Commit to saving. And then you can have some money to burn.
Carifesta is sound and movement. Carifesta is soca and bouillon, ska and spooge, reggae and dancehall, kaiso, zouk and ring bang, compa, rumba and rakatuk. The rhythms of the region, made with love and pure Caribbean energy. Come for Carifesta 15 in Barbados. Book your stay now at visitbarbados.org/Carifesta.
Oh boy, I know everybody wants to, of course, share the beats, the 2 pence and 3 cents. Somebody says, Matt, could you ask Joshua Francis whether any kind of conditions or agreements or anything was altered between the time that that agreement was made and when Jasmine decided not to get involved in the letter signing? Do you know if any agreement was signed?
Yes, Matt. It just occurred to me. Somebody sent me an agreement. So let me just. But that agreement would have been. Let me look at the date. It would have been dated the 9th of December 2022, and then you have the letter which was dated. That's important. Because we have to look at the chronology of things. And then you have a letter which is dated December 9, both of them. So this would have been the agreement. Now, of course, the agreement would not have been the business of the president of Dominica. The letter would have been sent to the president for the appointment of the leader of the opposition. But the agreement would be between Anthony and Jesma. And if I'm allowed, it says, by this agreement dated the 9th day of December 2022, We, Jesma Paul Victor of Salisbury in the Commonwealth of Dominica and Anthony Charles of Marigot in the Commonwealth of Dominica hereby agree as follows. Number one, the parties agree to share equally the position of leader of the opposition until the next dissolution of Parliament. It is agreed that Jesma Paul Victor shall serve as leader of the opposition for a period of 18 months, and thereafter Anthony Charles shall serve as leader of the opposition for a period of 18 months. The remaining months shall be shared equally between the parties pursuant to a subsequent agreement. So you heard that, Matt? And the term here is very clear. Term 1 is very clear, right? Term 2, the parties shall consult with each other prior to making any nomination or recommendation for appointment to any position. Where an even number of appointments are required, the parties shall share this decision equally. For the avoidance of doubt on the nomination of the leader of the opposition, each party to this agreement will be entitled to select 2 of the said 4 senators for nomination. You heard that, right?
I heard that.
So that's where the question of Jesma causing 2 persons to be appointed as senators and Anthony causing 2 to be appointed as senators. That was part of the agreement. Term 3, where there is a position which can be occupied by only 1 person based on the nomination or recommendation of the leader of the opposition. The parties agree to consult with each other to making the nomination. It is agreed that each party shall take consecutive turns in making the casting. And then it goes on to say, this means that if Jesma Paul Victor has the casting vote for one decision, then Anthony Charles shall have the casting vote for the subsequent decision. Now, I take it that as in respect to recommendations for appointments on boards and so on and so forth. All right. Number 4, where the Prime Minister or any decision maker is required to consult with the leader of the opposition prior to the making of any decision, the parties agree to make every effort to discuss and provide the said decision maker with a mutually agreed response. So, Matt, the terms are very clear. Did you see anything in the head which Anthony Charles may have breached, causing Mrs. Paul
to have concerns?
Yeah, well, I mean, she could always have concerns, but do you understand where Anthony came from?
It's clear. It's clear.
Right.
It's clear.
Now, it appears that Anthony did make certain remarks. He did not deny he made those remarks to Jesma Paul, but I would think that those remarks will cause because of emotions and frustrations. And another thing that we have to take note of is Jesma did say, out of respect, Jesma Paul Victor, Mrs. Victor, she did make mention of time of day, and I think she said that she attempted to speak to Anthony about the leader of the opposition position after the debate of last year, something like that.
But he just said that on Wednesday, just passed, he wrote another letter.
Well, before we get to that point, so when she attempted to, based on the conversation that she and Anthony would have had, when they attempted to have that conversation, several months would have already been elapsed since she had served her 18 months. So Anthony naturally got frustrated and may have made those remarks, which I don't support, of course.
Jesma stated that she had issues in signing because she had a concern. Somebody says this is irrelevant. As it was decided at the beginning, it would be half-half.
Right.
She got her half, and it's now Tony's half. Is irrespective of your gripes. Again, but let's go back to the telephone. A lot of people are trying to call in and they're making their points. Well, I'm going to try my very best. I'm going to try to see if I can get Jesma on the telephone. Of course, we heard her, but after Anthony, you'd want to hear her side of the story as well.
Of course.
I'm going to try my very best. Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes?
Good afternoon, Matt. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, sir, yes.
Matt, I remember when that statement was made when he said that UPP or whatever the name of the party is has a candidate in parliament. Matt, that may, and he admits it himself, that may have been the trigger. Knowing politics, that may have just been the trigger to change Jesma Paul's mind, or at least to be advised by those in the who perceive themselves as the majority opposition to try to put politics. We saw Mr. Skerritt, how he got the now chief of the Kalinago, stripped her of all her devices and offered her money, according to what she told us, just to endorse his candidate. Politics is dirty business. And I wonder, Mr. Francis, if you could tell us, well, you told us already, but if you could confirm that you saying that you might have had a person in the house with your new party may have been the trigger that caused all this.
You taking responsibility, Jeff?
I take some kind of responsibility because I did make that remark. And as the gentleman says, politicians can be like gladiators. And sadly and unfortunately, not every politician thinks of integrity and honesty. And some of us champion both. We expect to get integrity and honesty from those in government, yet we do not give it in opposition. We do not live by examples. And in spite of that statement, it does not justify the manner in which this whole opposition saga unfolded.
All right, let's see if we can. I'm going to try my very best. I'm going to take a break and try to see if we can get Jesma on the telephone. This situation has to be laid to rest. You had to talk to me, yes?
Matt and Mr. Francis.
Yes, sir.
The Attorney General is failing in his duties to advise the President that she should recall all the opposition senators' appointments, including Senator Delbert Paris. Once the leader of the opposition had resigned, their position absolutely fell away. They are no longer legal in the parliament. They should be sent at their homes. Who appointed them? The leader of the opposition. The leader of the opposition goes home, they must go home also. And they have no authority to have signed that letter giving support to Honorable Jesma Paul because they were appointed after a leader of the opposition were appointed. So Section 66 never intended to include senators. So Senator Delbert Paris and the others, please go home, resign, give way so that this whole matter can be cleaned up. God bless.
God bless you. Your thoughts, Joshua?
Well, it's a very interesting argument that this scholar has, and I've heard other commentators raising the question as to whether legally the senators ought to be in parliament, given that we do not have a leader of opposition. But let me say, one, the issue is debatable. The Constitution provides for the appointment. However, it does not speak to the president how to tackle a situation like that. So if the president were to decide that she's going to remove or cause the removal of the senators in the opposition because there isn't a leader of opposition right now, she may leave a question to be answered by the court of law. We have not gone to court to look for an advisory opinion on the matter, and we're just left to speculate. It is not an unreasonable argument. And if one were to counter it, it's not unreasonable either, because the Constitution does not provide any provision as to how the president should deal with a matter of that nature. In terms of the senators not having the power to advise, I made my contribution on that issue already. I don't think that senators are in a position to decide or to recommend who should be leader of opposition or who should be the Prime Minister of Dominica. That has not been the practice in our Westminster constitutional system.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. I'm going to try my very best to get Jesma on the telephone. Stick around.
The biggest mini one day only me Market Circle is happening in Shimenef in Port Michel on Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. All tradesmen, housewives, carpenters, vendors, chefs, boutique owners, carpenters, homeowners, gift buyers, gift senders, gift givers. Bring your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your business partner. Everybody is taking home only Bill Bagay. From Shimenef in Port Michel, August 2nd, by bus, by car, taxi, by foot, bicycle, mobilette, and tricycle. Come early to avoid the rush as everything must go. Coffee makers, hot cups, petty tools, portable drills, handle tools, multiple speed, protein vegetable blender, juicers, oyster mini choppers, hyper tough, rechargeable handy power saws, hair dryers, ladies spin brush, hair sets, ladies all occasion fashionable shoes, and so many other mean Bell Bagay products to choose from. For one day only, Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Shimenef, Point Michel, Saturday coming.
Just me goal winning Roseau again. Same place outside Flossie's. I tried to dock in, but he had time see me. Well, story start again. Million, lot of my power we got, huh? Salka fella, I said the same thing you doing, shopping at Flossie's, and you don't have to tell me the same thing you tell me last time because I busy. Is to hear him way. You reckon? About my pocket, boy. I won't tell you that I save money in food and drinks when I buy quantity. I save more. Oh, shucks, man. Well, when you're still telling me, I know already. Tu paga respecte moi. When I can my pepper palais, I will tell all my friends from London, US and Dominica to come to Floss's, right next to the Rosa Market. Open Sunday to Saturday. Floss's can't do it to you.
But do you really have money to burn? What about your commitments? Have you paid your bills? What about your telephone bill, your light bill, your water bill? What are you going to use to pay your loan? A truck of stones? NCCU wants you to continue to make wise financial decisions that will not leave you stressed. Think of your commitments. Commit to your commitments. Commit to saving. And then you can have some money to burn.
Well, I did try to get Jasma, but there's been no response thus far. I'll try again and I'll call her live this time. The telephone is ringing off the hook. On the telephone, yes. Good afternoon to you. It's already 2:29 in the afternoon. Talk to me, yes.
Yes, good afternoon to you, Matt, and good afternoon to Honorable Joshua Francis.
Good afternoon to you.
Matt,
Yes.
Matt, I just have a question. This situation seems to have put us in really a constitutional crisis because it's the first time in our history, I think, of surrounding that issue that we have had to deal with that. But I would like to know, well, first of all, why 36 months, 18 and 18? Because I know an election cycle is every 5 years. So I don't know at what point they would have come up with 36 months, 18, 18. And two, when you listen to the exchange between, when you listen to what Honorable Jesma Paul had to say, then you hear call, she said she spoke with Mr. Charles, Honorable Charles, and then he said, really, we do not need an opposition leader. That's what she said. But I didn't hear it from her that no, the people cannot be left without an opposition leader. It seems to me she just wanted to hear the opinion of Mr. Charles. She should enforce telling him, no, the people should not stay without an opposition leader. She should have served her time then, because she had already served her time, the period that they agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
And so it takes me to conclude that the interest of opposition leader is not in the interest of the people, but probably between two individuals. So that fight, I don't know if they should end it. But in fact, I'm calling on them to end it and put the people first, because it doesn't seem, because if the people really is center of that decision, then that matter would have been resolved. But it seems to me they have to take out their personality in it and get that matter going, because opposition is a constitutional position. And we need it. It's not a case where the government have won all the seats, it's not a case where they have won all the seats. So there is room for an opposition leader, and there must be an opposition leader. Thank you very much.
Good point there. As I said, I am calling the phone of Miss Jasmine Paul again. See if she responds.
You have been redirected to the mail.
Okay. So that's my second or third attempt. No response. So maybe she's busy. I don't know. But we'll keep trying. Jasmine, if you or somebody can pass on the message, I'm trying to reach her. That'd be very important.
Well,
because we want to really resolve that issue.
yeah, and Matt, really, she's the driver behind all of this. She doesn't need to have a meeting with Anthony or anybody. All that's required of her is to put a letter together and submit it to the president of Dominica. Prepare the letter and have Anthony sign it, just as when she and Anthony decided.
He signed on the behalf.
Yeah, because both of them would have to sign the letter, given that you have 2 elected members and the 2 would be supporting one to be appointed as the leader of the opposition. So that's all is required.
Something is not right. The hell, talk to me, yes? Hello.
Yeah, something is not right, Matt. And if I was Jasmine Paul and I put on my political mask, I would not call you. I would not respond to your phone call even if I was listening, because you have Joshua Francis right there, and she may not be comfortable with Joshua rebutting her. So it's a difficult situation. But what I could advise them is that they need to resolve it amicably if they want to secure their political careers, especially with voters like me. I don't know what the other voters are like, but as a voter, if I had to choose. If I had to vote for either one of them, they would have to settle that thing quickly and get us going with an opposition leader. Thank you.
Let's see. Read an interesting note that's coming up here. Matt, Joshua Francis, and of course he's right here, so he can respond. Joshua Francis must fully understand that notwithstanding what he has up his sleeve, the Honorable Anthony Charles, and the community of Marigot have a legally binding agreement. In this agreement, Honorable Charles cannot be aligned to any political party. He is to serve as a completely independent member of Parliament. The same applies to Senators Paris and Reid. The people of Marigot will not allow Joshua Francis, UPP, or anyone to compromise the independent mandate given to the member of Parliament of Marigot. I think both Mr. Anthony Charles and the Honorable Jasmine Paul Victor need to meet privately and settle this matter once and for all. Your response?
Well, first of all, I do not have anything up my sleeve. The public is seeing me nakedly. I'm an open politician, an open person.
You have nothing to hide.
I have had nothing to hide, Matt. As I've always said, I have been maybe the most open politician in Dominica. My private life has been on parade as far as my public life. So I would dismiss that part of it. In terms of Jasmine Paul, Victor, and Anthony Charles, members of Parliament, solving that matter, that was supposed to have been the approach from day one. From day one, we were supposed to have encouraged both to come together to have this matter settled. But instead of bringing them together, we had a lot of noises around them. A lot of divisive statements were being made. As a matter of fact, some of the players and actors were laying blame at the feet of the president of Dominica, instead of taking responsibility for giving wrong legal advice to Mrs. Victor and for encouraging that kind of behavior. After all, for us to go anywhere politically, we have to set up a platform of truth, a platform of integrity, a platform of unity and coherence. We cannot be so disjointed and fighting with each other and having so much confusion amongst us and yet expect us to grow and prosper politically. It's not going to happen.
No. Somebody's saying that, Matt, you may be missing the point. What is the point that I'm missing? The person is stating, Matt, you're missing the point. They both agreed on neither of them should join no political party, and that Mr. Charles did so you can't blame Ms. Victor.
That is not true.
That's not true.
That is not true.
There's nothing in that agreement that stated that.
First of all, Matt, there is a statutory declaration which was created in the office of Counsel, Mr. Bruni, I don't have a copy of it right now, but Mr. Anthony Charles, a member for Marigot, did sign a statutory declaration which has no legal enforceability. Legally, it is worthless. So it's not enforceable. So even if he had signed a statutory declaration saying that he would not join the Labour Party and he decided to join the Labour Party, nobody in Marigot would be able to enforce that agreement in a court of law. Well, that statutory declaration in a court of law. That's number one. Number two, there is no agreement. There was never such an agreement. There was never such a statutory declaration. There was never such an affidavit. What I saw in the statutory declaration, and regrettably I don't have it here with me, is that Anthony Charles declared to the people of Marigot that he would not cross to the government side whilst in parliament, that he would continue to serve as an independent member of parliament. Now, when Anthony Charles and I created UPP, and remarks were made that technically UPP has a seat in parliament, that is just a matter of political perception. It would not change the fact that Mr. Charles was elected and sworn into the Parliament of Dominica as an independent member. So even if I had plastered all over Dominica that UPP has a seat in Parliament, this would not change the legal fact that Mr. Charles is in Parliament in Dominica as an independent member. Again, those remarks were being made by person to mislead the public and to justify their bad behavior. And again, Matt, you see the trend. If we go back to the gentleman from Portsmouth, Mr. Sean Douglas, he was dismissed. The public never learned the truth why Mr. Douglas was dismissed as a senator. And maybe one day I will come and explain to the public what really went down, because
you know what went
I
down?
know what went down, Matt. So I mean, we have to do things properly if we want to go somewhere as a party, as a people, as a nation. We cannot build a platform of confusion and lies and expect us to prosper in any discipline in life, whether it's at a home, as a husband, as a brother, as a son. Honesty pays, and pays positively. When we dabble with dishonesty and darkness and deception and confusion, we're going to stay stagnant. We're not going to grow.
Let's take a voice note here. Of course, he always thought-provoking comments. Let's listen to Leonard Matthew. Yes. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Matt Peltier, the constitution of our parliament, from the prime minister, senators, the election of senators, the need or the requirement of having a parliamentary opposition, is all stated out in our constitution. So the guys who are representing the different constituencies in parliament, most of who in the last cycle was selected by the individual who is leading the parliament, has to understand that their position is a constitutional position and is only legit if it is in accordance with the rules and the laws that was established for their presence. And if these folks who are serving in our parliament cannot understand that their loyalty and their operation or the office they hold is based on that constitutional document, and it has to be honored, it has to be respected, it has to be followed, then Matt Peltier, they have to be removed, every single one of them. And I'm going to hold no punches in saying that, because I hear the gentleman you have talking in here. And part of the problem we've had for years in Dominica is when there are issues that are cloudy in terms of the constitutional violation, the constitutionality of these decisions, the court's nowhere to be found. And even when you try to go to the court, it's being stymied. And that means there are some people who think that government is only in the parliament, whereas government has an executive and a legislative branch, and a judiciary and a judicial branch. So Matt, all the conversation we have this afternoon boils down to a general lack of respect for the importance of the Constitution in the procedures of our parliament. And what we have seen in the last few years, the last 2 decades, a deliberate destruction of the power of the parliament or the power of our constitution to decide who runs our country and who doesn't run our country. And it has been deliberate. And I think when these things happen, the people of Dominica have to hold the politicians who serve in them accountable. And if they don't understand and respect the constitutional requirement, then we should remove them by force, as I always said, if necessary. And that goes for everyone.
All right, let's take a quick break. Dominica is getting more interested by the minute. I really want to know and engage Mr. Sean Douglas as to why Sean, you left the parliament, but I'm sure it's a different story. We'll take, why were you kicked out of parliament? We're going to come back after this.
But do you really have money to burn? What about your commitments? Have you paid your bills? What about your telephone bill, your light bill, your water bill? What are you going to use to pay your loan? A truck of stones? NCCU wants you to continue to make wise financial decisions that will not leave you stressed. Think of your commitments. Commit to your commitments. Commit to saving. And then you can have some money to burn.
An official statement from the Cry of His Coming Life-Changing Ministry was sent to the media on June 13th, 2025 from Fat Hogs Bay East and British Virgin Islands. Contact number for the Cry of His Coming Life-Changing Ministry is 284-542-0033. Email address cryofhiscomingbvi@gmail.com. Again, this statement, dated June 13th, 2025, reads, "To whom it may concern, the subject, confirmation of church leadership, the leadership of Cry of His Coming Life-Changing Ministry, pastored by Julian C. Lindsay, hereby formally confirmed that Pastor Anthony Caesar, Cry of His Ministry, Unity Abundant Ministry, is under our ecclesiastical leadership and oversight. This relationship has been established on June 13th, 2025, to facilitate mutual support, guidance, and unity in our shared spiritual work. If further information is required, please feel free to contact us at the Cry of His Coming Life-Changing Ministry. Telephone number.
Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property. You homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property. Can't wait for the hurricane, can't wait till your flood again. Till your roof fly out and all your business running out. Remember, no insurance company will insure your property when a storm is approaching. Get ahead of the hurricane season. Insure with a company who gives you the assurance of payment for your valid claim. Come speak with us today at the New India Assurance Company Limited, upstairs AC Shillingford and Company Limited, 24 King George Street, Roseau. Bring along an up-to-date valuation from a qualified engineer and get insured today.
Bring your cooler. Bring your cooler. For your cherry, be room number one all over. Number one. Make ready in Dominica. Right there. BBB nice. BBB nice. BBB nice. BBB nice. BBB nice. When you come in the jam, you should have a baby in your hand. When you come in the band, you should have a baby in your hand. What we drinking? BBB style. BBB nice. BBB nice. BBB style. BBB nice. BBB style. BBB nice. BBB style. BBB nice. BB Spice Rum. It's more than just a rum.
BB Spice Rum, distributed by Belfast Estate.
Favorite store. Dial it now. 612-1253. That's Mega. You can rely on Mega for some real deals on name brand clothing and electronics. High quality, low price. We are a wholesale and retail store located in Calabishi, right on the main road. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram as Mega Deals Dominica. Like our page. Check out our stuff. Call us. Visit us. Would appreciate that. Come try it on. Love it. Buy it at Mega Deals. Your one and only online and brick and mortar store. Mega Deals is also on wheels. We make it convenient for your shopping. We deliver straight to your door. Email us at info@megadealsda.com. Rely on Mega Deals for some real deals.
Me Bell Bagger, the biggest mini one day only Me Bell Bagger market sale is happening in Shimenef in Port Michel on Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. All tradesmen, housewives, carpenters, vendors, chefs, boutique owners, carpenters, homeowners, gift buyers, gift senders, gift givers. Bring your family, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your business partner. Everybody is taking home only Bell Bagger from Shimenef in Port Michel, August 2nd. By bus, by car, taxi, by foot, bicycle, mobilette, and tricycle. Come early to avoid the rush as everything must go. Coffee makers, hot cups, petty glue, portable drills, handle tools, multiple speed, protein vegetable blender, juicers, oyster mini choppers, hyper tough, rechargeable handy power saws, hair dryers, ladies spin brush, hair sets, ladies all occasion fashionable shoes, and so many other Me Bell Bagger products to choose from. For one day only, Saturday, August 2nd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Shimenef, Point Michel, Saturday coming.
Dominicans, Dominicans, enjoy your property, protect your property. You homeowner and businessman, protect your property, enjoy your property. Can't wait for the
Oh boy, that telephone is burning there. Good afternoon to you on the telephone, yes?
Hello, good afternoon, Matt.
Afternoon to you, yes?
Matt,
Yes, I'm here.
Mr. Joshua Francis
Yeah.
comes on Q95 mic and speaks like he's so innocent and he knows everything that is happening. What you trying to call Jesma for? But Jesma do.
No. Jesma owes the public, of course, an explanation because she's been involved in the story. So you're asking why she calling Jesma Paul? I don't understand that question. Jesma is in the situation and we need to get her side of the story.
I said what she have to say.
No. I'm saying, but Jesma gave her side of the story. So we're looking for her to give her side of the story again. What do you mean? What are we calling her for? She's a politician. She has to serve the public. She's a politician. You mean what I calling her for? Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Good afternoon. Yes.
Frankly, I think not all problems can be solved on radio. I think diplomacy is what is really needed in this, because what I'm seeing is a further expanding of the rift that have caused this thing. Diplomacy is needed. I don't think everything, the approach to solve many things have to do with a radio blitz or what.
And we agree with that. So they can solve it elsewhere. They can solve it elsewhere. I would agree with you, but I mean, the people have to express in themselves. And what do you make of that? It's their opinion. Your opinion is to solve it another ways, and their opinion is to solve it on the radio. It's your opinion versus theirs. Okay. Hello, talk to me. We have to accept. We have to agree to disagree. Hello, talk to me on the telephone. Yes.
I did a little clarification because Joshua said, he read the letter, said that they signed the letter agreeing to the 18 months, right? So
yes, that's correct.
Then I hear him talking about that she didn't after the 18 months, she didn't say she was going to support him as a representative. I don't understand that part. Because you sign a letter agreeing to serve 18 months, and at the end of 18 months, she resigned at the end of 18 months, right?
Yes.
So then what is the thing about she not expressing support for him? I don't understand that part.
Well, don't understand that part.
And hence why we try to solve that problem.
And Matt, let me just say that I personally attempted to bring both persons together to get this matter resolved, but there has been an impasse.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this program this afternoon will cause an urgency on the part of both parties to get this resolved. But as we said, the onus really is on the member of Salisbury to get this.
And the question that somebody was asking earlier, why are we calling Jesma? No, Jesma is not. Yes, she's private in her own private capacity, but she's a public officer. She serves the public.
She owes the public. She has a duty to the public to answer certain questions. It's left up to her to decide whether she wants to answer it or not. But that's the principle behind politics. As a politician, you have to be prepared to answer questions. You may choose not to answer the
It
question.
will be your choice.
But you will be called upon to answer questions.
Another voice note.
Good afternoon, Matu. I
Good
hope
afternoon
that
to you.
you're doing
Yes.
fine. Everything is okay with you.
For
And
now.
good afternoon to your listeners, Matt. Let me just contribute to the topic at hand, Matt. The thing is, Jesma Paul and Anthony Charles did sign an agreement that either of them would lead for 18 months as opposition leader, Matt. Right? There's signatures on an agreement, Matt. They both agreed to, right? Jesma Paul was allowed to lead for 18 months. Upon her 18 months, she resigned for whatever reason, right? And had her senators sign a letter to the president that there is no opposition leader in parliament. Matt, this is wrong. And on principle, what Jesma Paul did is wrong. She signed an agreement with Anthony Charles, and she should honor that agreement and allow him to lead for the next 18 months. Matt, that is besides the point, what he said or allegedly said or didn't say. That is not the point of contention right now, Matt. The point of contention right now is why isn't Anthony Charles allowed to lead as was agreed upon by him and Jesma Paul? And why isn't the president intervening, Matt? Because it's futile that they're in parliament sittings doing what? What they're representing. There is no opposition, and the Constitution clearly states that, Matt, there must be a leader of the opposition. So why are they even in parliament? Doing what? Then he said that we do not need a leader of the opposition. Who is we, Matt? I think that they should put all their emotions aside, their childish behavior, Matt, right? And go back to the drawing board, and she should honor her agreement, where her signature is on an agreement that Anthony Charles should sign.
All right, Dominique, it's wow. Well, you would agree that this situation discussing a constitutional crisis in Dominica that needs to be resolved, huh? Hello, talk to me on the telephone, yes? Yes? Sakafet.
Mola, depuis là, mon gars, qui mon pas masser foot, mon gars, qui foot, mon gars, taper. Après, le Chelsea, tu en parlement, you want to be married vote independent, t'as vu?
Oui.
You want independent. Just want to be independent to Salisbury. You say they independent. Right. Let's just fini avec faire partie. Let's just faire partie. Joshua, Charles Vini avec dit qu'à joindre Joshua. C'est mon long.
Bon, moi, follow.
Écoutez-moi bien ça, écoutez-moi bien. Non. Charles can represent independent by Marigot. Marigot constituency. Just like bit pour independent.
Oui.
Right. Opposition, just for table.
C'est ça?
For table pour 18 months.
Oui.
Il dit pour Charles 18 months pour table tout.
Oui.
Mais Charles n'a pas côté pour un parti. Because he is independent. So after election, il était pour mettre quoi? Avec Joshua. Because ça qui mène un problème, because il n'a pas été d'accord pour une taille. can that Joshua can represent every party because like I saying, like say deputy leader Joshua, comment ça pour le do? Ou même comment ça pour quoi ou ça? Donc il y a mawaj là, every angle pas comme les monde tout partout. C'est mawaj ça ni, on peut mawaj ça because so mawaj qui là. Every okay well.
Okay. I'm back. Give his own interpretation. What you understand what he's saying?
Yeah, Matt, on that point, it's very interesting that some of the supporters of United Workers' Party would have issues with Mr. Anthony Charles for aligning himself with the United Progressive Party. And they have no issue with a senator, Delbert Paris, who did not only align himself,
He became the deputy.
but became the deputy leader of the United Workers' Party. So,
They're blowing hot and cold.
yeah, let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, stop this hypocrisy and double standard and come clean and stand for what is right. That's the only way we are going to grow. Integrity and honesty.
All right, Dominica, we don't have too much more time. I think looking at the clock on my wall, we have 2 more minutes. But very interesting observation there. Hello, talk to me. Yes.
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 Joshua Francis, you must behave yourself. Because you were one of the same ones who wanted Jesma to join your clique. And you know why you on the radio blasting her. Relax yourself.
Blasting. I haven't seen Joshua blasting Jesma just yet. What's that?
Just yet, I will never be blasting Mrs. Paul. That I'm not here to blast anybody. This is not personal.
Immature comment.
And I never had any conversation. I never sat with Jesman trying to make a part of my clique. That never happened. I mean, I did attempt to speak with Jesma, some politics, and we never did.
You never approached her on this?
To join UPP?
Yeah,
not directly, no.
Okay.
There were some flirtations, but we never met and had any serious conversations about, Jesma joining UPP. That never happened.
All right, someone says right now, Jesma is not only answerable to the Salisbury, it's only answerable to the Salisbury constituents. She's not answerable to you, not Joshua, nor anybody else at Salisbury. Nor does she have any duty to the public. She's not the leader of the opposition. She's a politician, man. She's a politician, okay? 449. And politicians are public figures, okay? Thank you very much. I hope you understand what's going on. Hello, she's not serving the public in a private capacity. Hello, talk to me.
Yes, man. Good afternoon. How you doing?
How you doing, my brother? How are you? Yes.
Not bad at all.
Is that Mr. Soulpost?
Yeah, that's Mr. Soulpost. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Matt, I disagree with Joshua talking about the other side that the people of the United Workers' Party supporting Tony as he supported Delbert Paris, and Delbert Paris is being the deputy. It is naturally clear that Delbert Paris is from Marigot. Marigot people voted for Tony. Marigot people represent 99.9% of United Workers' Party. So it's United Workers' Party who put Tony into parliament. So the members of the United Workers' Party has no problem of having Delbert Paris being a deputy and supporting Delbert Paris, even though he's a senator for Anthony Charles. So, Mr.
So let me ask you a question. So why is it Tony as an independent candidate cannot support or join a party of his wish?
Matt, Tony just is not an independent. Tony just represents an independent candidate as a name.
But he won as an independent candidate. He won. I know the United Workers' Party gave support, but he won as an independent candidate.
But Matt, you won as an independent candidate, but it's United Workers' Party voters who voted for Tony. And Tony knows that definitely.
Tony knew it was United Workers Party persons, including myself, that was on his platform speaking for him, allowing of ourselves because we do not want to deprive our reputation by having a Labour candidate winning in Marigot. And if we leave the United Workers Party in Marigot did not vote it for Tony, Carissa didn't need one vote to represent the Labour Party and win the election. So that is what we're saying. Just Carissa nomination alone would allow Carissa to be.
But I heard Tony saying on the day of the protest that he has no. He's not. Nobody out there in the protests, is representing his views.
That is what the Marigot people is pressuring Tony for. He needs to apologize, as Peter said. He must apologize to the people for saying he has none of his friends out there, because every Marigot person that were out there voted for him, and that is, you need to make that clear, and you need to apologize towards a national apology for that. So you should have asked him that when you had him on the radio. Why?
I still think I can find it. So let's see if we can find Tony to get him, because a lot of people are saying, Tony, you should apologize for that statement you made there in Parliament. Okay, let's wrap it up and see if we can get Tony Charles to come back on the telephone. Okay. Yes, more telephone calls. Are you there? We trying.
Yes, Matt, I'm there, and I'm dying to talk to you, Matt. I know we haven't got much time, so I try to rush it.
Talk to me, my brother. Talk to me.
Matt, let me tell you, I'm glad Joshua Francis, and I have a lot of love and respect for him. It's nothing personal.
Right.
But I'm glad Joshua Francis admit that the statement he made, Matt, is what shall be with the whole system, because you have to realize, Matt, UWP voters, supporters that elect both candidates. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And if Jesma says she has concern, she has to have concern, because Joshua coming out and said they have a candidate. Now, Salisbury people is who control the representative. It's not like the rest of Dominica. We tell our representative to represent us, and they do it on our behalf. The supporters of UWP will not agree for either Jesma Paul, I don't know about Marigot, to form any party until Joshua come out and say that that's the candidate. So that is a strategy that's going on there. And Jesma Paul did betray Anthony. And I'll tell you why. She did resign. And she has concern. And all the gentleman have to do is sit down and talk to her. That's all.
So you don't think that Jesma had to honor the agreement that she signed at the very beginning?
What might she honor it by resigning? She resigned. Why you would resign and then the next month you?
But she had to resign to, of course, pass on that obligation. She had to resign first before she moved it on to Anthony.
She did resign.
Right.
But if okay, Matt asked Anthony, why did the two candidates he nominated was supposed to, because not only you have to be elected, but you have to have a majority of the members who oppose the government to support the leader. And Anthony hasn't got that, Matt. He hasn't got the majority of the members supporting him. It's only he and Jesma. Joshua Francis is who shall be with the whole thing. I love Joshua, but this afternoon I have to disagree with you, my brother.
Ebe money kuai papa. I shall be the whole thing.
Oh boy! Oh.
Anyway, one love, brother.
I'm sure you child many people think. But let's see if we can get Anthony Charles back on the telephone before we wrap it up on this very interesting program. But he's actually observing his anniversary. I don't know if he has more time.
Maybe not.
We're gonna try. We're gonna try.
Yeah, we could.
But the people are calling my phone, so just give me a little ease there. Let me try to get I suspect Mr. Anthony Charles may not be available to take phone calls. So you can choose to call back, okay? Whoever's on the line, Joshua, I'll give the conversation is so interesting. I will give the callers a few more minutes to talk. But did you receive a message from Anthony?
Yeah, I did. I contacted him to let him know that the public would like to hear his comments concerning what he said in Parliament, that he did not support the protesters, that the protesters are not his friends. Of course, Matt, as you know, I did not support that statement. I continue not to support that statement.
Okay.
And Mr. Anthony said that he's unavailable. Of course, he is celebrating his third anniversary,
Yes.
wedding anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations, my brother. I hope you're enjoying.
So maybe he will be available next time?
He said he would be available next time. And he did say, and I suppose that's what he would tell the public, that
Okay.
what caused that statement is connected to his dissent to the protest action. He did not support it.
Okay.
And of course, he has given reasons in Parliament. And hopefully when he speaks with you, he will tell the public exactly why he will not have supported the protest action.
Okay, let's say we have just about, let me see my clock there. We have 7 more minutes and we wrap it up for the afternoon this weekend. Okay, yes.
Matt, good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Matt, I don't normally chime in on those stuff there, but I find the conversation very fascinating. Very fascinating. Let me tell you where I'm going to take that from. Just for you are the lawyer there.
Yeah, okay.
The first document was for read
Okay.
that was sent to the president states, in fact, that Jesma and Anthony Charles, they're both writing that letter as independent candidates for the various constituencies. Am I not correct, Joshua?
Independent elected members.
Correct.
They became elected. They entered into Parliament as independent elected members.
Independent.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I want to focus on. As
Mhm.
independent elected members.
And that was never going to change until the next general election.
Well,
That cannot change. And that is where the issue is. Yes, go ahead.
Hold on, Joshua.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Mhm.
It cannot change in legal terms because that's how we contest election. And that's where the political savviness needs to come into play. Whilst legally it cannot change, every politics is people. Every politics is local. In the people's mind, however, when the independent become UPP or UWP, either way, then it changes the color of the representative in the hearts and minds of the people. Now, I heard you made a reference to Delbert Paris as a senator. Nobody voted for Delbert Paris. Nobody voted for senators. That's why they have no strength in Parliament as far as electing the opposition leader is concerned. So what I'm trying to say, Matt and Joshua, is that the agreement to the president, in essence, changed because Anthony Charles self-confessed that he was no longer independent, but he was a member of UPP. And if my understanding from the conversation now is correct, you must have made a comment, Joshua, that you now have a UPP member in Parliament. Isn't that correct?
I said technically, we have a member, an elected member of UPP in Parliament. And I was very specific, technically, knowing that legally, we did not have a member of Parliament. Well, meaning that we did not have we did not have somebody in Parliament representing the United Progressive Party on the books of Parliament.
So legally, you don't. But also, politically on the ground, you don't.
Well,
because
go ahead.
UPP did not contest the election, right? So nobody from UPP voted for Anthony Charles. And so that is where I think the gray area, that's where the break-up is. And for us to take it off now and deal with it from a strictly legal perspective, I think is not dealing with the consideration as it's supposed to be dealt with. The point is, the agreement, the first agreement that was sent to the president, which in my humble view, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I think that Lee Quint is right on that matter. that the letter that was sent to the president, all the president should have been interested in is that the other elected a member who doesn't support the government supports the opposition. That's all the legal jargon that the president must be interested in. As far as the arrangement is concerned between the two of them, is irrelevant as far as the Constitution is concerned legally. And I am going with Lee Quint on that and some other lawyers. The point is, but in that letter you said that they're independent. And then he has moved himself to a different place. Are you aware that in St. Lucia, I think it was in St. Lucia, that the parliament moved a law now that once you cross the floor, you must go back to the polls, right? Because you used to cross the floor willy-nilly. Once you cross the floor, you must go back to the polls. In essence, Anthony Charles crossed the floor from being an independent to being a member of UPP, at least in the minds of the people. And I'm saying that there should have been a little more conversation. And even after they fell out, Joshua, we should have gotten a good mediator to mediate that, because it's now a question, not just a legal question, but it's a question of what is, if Jesma Paul now decides to support the UPP, what do you think some people will do? They might stone her. And I'm not asking for that. I am saying in the minds of the people, what you have done is betrayed their vote. And
So somebody's making a point. I want you to stay on the line, Mr. Rodney. Somebody's saying, and I think that's very deep. Matt, if an elected party rep can cross the floor to another party, what is stopping an independent candidate from declaring allegiance to a lawfully constituted party? Miss Bannis Roberts was elected by the UWP, but she changed and she crossed the floor. Your thoughts on that?
not legally in Dominica now, there's nothing wrong in that.
Okay.
But politically, there's something intrinsically wrong with that. Listen to that. When Lauren Bannis contest election next time, who voted for it? Anybody from Labour vote for her? No. She got Labour Party votes and people who Labour Party brought. And we must look at it from that perspective as well, because all politics is local. All politics is local. Politics is not really about in the air and sometimes in the legal jargon. All politics is local. So the fact of the matter is, the fact that now Anthony Charles went over the UPP, endorsed by the UPP leader, what do you think is going to happen to the people, one, that supported him, two, the people that they had the agreement with, that they went in as two independent candidates? I'm not saying that legally Jesma is right. I'm not saying, I think Jesma's advice to resign was wrong. That's my view. Jesma's advice to resign as leader of the opposition was totally wrong.
But Pastor, hold on, Joshua. Pastor, are we looking for solutions now? I mean, we have to solve this problem, and we're having a constitutional crisis. What is your advice going forward? How do we resolve this?
Jesma, Paul, Victor, and Anthony Charles must sit with a seasoned mediator in a room so that both of them can hear out where they are, what they do, and come out, two of them, agreeing that's what we're going to do together. Because guess what? It's only two of them that matter in the matter of the leader of the opposition in Dominica currently. Only two of them. Right? The two elected members who do not support the government. The quagmire is getting deeper because, at least on the surface, Anthony Charles is showing some leanings to the incumbent, to the majority. However, I am of the view, Matt, to answer your question directly, these two people must sit down with a mediator in a room, not on the media, sit down in a room, hash this thing out in a mediation room, and then come out and say, this is what we're doing because this is our objective. And once that's our objective, we're going to agree to it, and that's where we flow from there. I think that's what should happen, right? All the excuses that we're making now about this and that is irrelevant because all politics is local. Politics is not legal, really and truly. It is local. And that's what I would say, Matt. Let's solve the problem with these two people. Now, Anthony made a rapprochement. Jesma now must respond to that rapprochement in private. not in parliament, not on the media, in private. Two of them sit down with a mediator, hash this thing out, and then we will end the crisis.
I think Joshua has a question.
Yeah, well, not really a question. I want to express my dissent to Pastor Rodney's opinion. Number one, Pastor Rodney has suggested to the public that when Anthony made the declaration, public declaration that is, that he was a member of UPP, that it had changed the agreement that he would have made with Jesma Paul in respect to the leader of the opposition. I strongly disagree with you, Pastor Rodney. That could not have changed the agreement. That did not breach the agreement. The agreement was written, the ink was dry. The agreement is simple. Jesma Paul serving the first 18 months, and thereafter Anthony Charles serving the next 18 months. It could not and cannot be clearer than that. So Anthony Charles making a declaration that he had become a member of UPP did not legally change the character of the agreement, nor did it cause a breach of the agreement. Then number two, politically, politics is about perception, and nobody has control over anybody's perception. Of course, at the end of the day, a politician acts or fails to act, and the public is left to have its own perception. I think what is of the biggest issue here, and for you particularly, Pastor Rodney, is the moral issue, the issue of principles, because law is exercised in the court of law. Of course, you have your opinion on the law, I have mine. My opinion may not be superior to yours, because at the end of the day, it is an opinion. It is for the judge to decide legally whose opinion is right or wrong. So we're not in a court of law. So the legal aspect, I will leave that out for now. But I would think that you, as a man of the cloth, would be concerned about the moral issue here. The moral issue. When people give commitments, people give undertakings, people are supposed to act in good faith. And I'm not too sure whether you're prepared to deal with the issue at hand, that the member for Salisbury signed an agreement with Anthony Charles. And to this date, she has failed to commit, either failed or refused to commit to the agreement. Are you prepared to speak to the moral aspect of that?
That's exactly what I'm speaking to. That's precisely what I'm speaking to, Joshua. The agreement that you read to the public, that I heard, said Anthony Charles, independent candidate for the Marigot constituency, and Jesma Paul Victor, independent candidate for the Salisbury constituency. This people in the very went into an agreement to share the people's resolution. That's what it went in. Not
for some reason, your line is not very clear, Pastor. I have no idea why. Yeah, but I think we're gonna get you to clarify what because I'll ask the question again maybe sometime soon, and I will get, because your line is totally off.
Yeah, it's distorted.
It's very distorted.
But where Pastor and I,
hold
yes.
on. Are you there, Carl? No, it's off. It's off.
Yeah, because you see, Matt, what the pastor is suggesting is, by virtue of Anthony's public declaration that he had become a member of UPP, in essence, he had changed the character of the agreement in question. And I don't know how that is possible.
No. Somebody's saying, Joshua, it's your turn to apologize. Somebody's saying, Matt, Joshua should apologize. What he said then, how he said it was wrong. We love Joshua, but it's how he said what he said. So please allow him, Joshua, to apologize for what you said and move on.
I cannot apologize for that. I did not do anything wrong or say anything wrong. I shared my political view on a matter. Why would I want to apologize for that? An apology is necessary when someone wrongs another and comes to realization that he or she harmed somebody's emotions or injured somebody physically or otherwise.
Let's go back to that day when you made the comment right here on Q95. If you had to make that, in hindsight, if you had to make a comment, would you say the same thing?
Maybe, maybe not. I spoke the truth, and I'm not prepared to apologize for the truth. It is my truth. Politics has perception, and I give my opinion based on what I perceive to be true. I cannot apologize for that. The fact is, Anthony Charles became a member of UPP. He's a founding member of UPP. And I am of the view that even as we speak, if we wanted, Anthony could go into parliament to champion the policies of UPP, and we have never done that. The bottom line is, when someone, as in the case of law, and let's look at it from a legal point of view, because in parliament does not recognize UWP versus Labour. You have the government side and the opposition side. However, persons get into parliament in Dominica on a party platform, except for those who go up independent. So you have the United Workers' Party candidates going up on the United Workers' Party candidate as it on the United Workers' Party platform, as it were before 2022 from 1990, and those on the Labour platform. They go into parliament. You have the majority, the Labour Party guys, members. They form the government. The opposition parties, as it were, the United Workers' Party, form the opposition. So it's not a question of Labour versus UWP or UPP versus Labour. It doesn't work like that. It's just a use of words. It's about perception. So Tony Charles going into parliament as an independent member will be like that until the next general election. So even if I had gone out there and I said to the whole world, Anthony is a member of UPP, UPP has a member in parliament. The truth is that is just politics, because at the end of the day, Anthony Charles is an independent member of parliament.
We've got to go. Else we'll stay here until 6 o'clock. Joshua Francis.
Yeah, let me just say.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, man, let me just take this opportunity to send greetings to Orin in the UK and friends and families throughout the diaspora. And of course, a pleasant good afternoon to Dominicans. We have a long weekend, Matt. I'm not too sure what are your plans, whether you're going on the beach, whether you're going to the river, whether you're going up to Marigot to have a drink with Soul Puss,
And Brian.
And Brian. I hope, Brian, you're having a good afternoon, you're enjoying yourself, and you have a pleasant weekend.
And let's say good afternoon to the people of La Plaine, continuing to enjoy their reunion. I've got to go, though. Bye-bye now.
I don't prepare to take this show.
Kendra, my friend, I know you love the Hurricane. I'm playing this one for you, okay?
When I hear